YouTube. Thanks for checking out the video. Doing a quick market review here. Obviously a lot going on. I'm going to look at some news stories and some technicals on the charts. So first thing here is this news story that I've seen about this professor from Yale, Schiller, who I guess previously he made a comment about Bitcoin being a bubble. Didn't catch that one, but here in this article, it looks like he is buying himself some insurance on that comment and basically saying that it may be a bubble for the next 100 years. So it's hard to call things a bubble over that time span, in my opinion. A lot of things may be qualified as a bubble at that point. But so he says here, taking his quote, is Bitcoin might totally collapse and be forgotten, and I think that's a good likely outcome, but it could linger on for a good long time. It could be here in 100 years. So he gives himself a way to win in any direction. So overall, I think his comments are actually a positive thing for the technology and the currency. So just an interesting little story there to start off with. But more relevant and importantly here is we have this news related to the South Korean FUD recently. And basically the headline here is saying it's impossible to close the exchanges, say the South Korean regulators. So, reading this article here, basically to sum it up is that, any exchanges that are operating illegally would have some problems, and that's a good thing. We want them to be looking into illegal activity, people that may run off with money. So I think overall this is good news. It's with regulations probably going to come some drawbacks, obviously, and it may slow down, the advancement to an extent, but overall I think that's a good thing. There's a comment here. See, in essence, closing South Korean crypto exchanges is an unrealistic possibility, and any illegal activities in the cryptocurrency space should be addressed with appropriate regulations rather than an outright ban. So for the warriors out there thinking that they're just going to close down trading in South Korea, this kind of dispels that, and saying they can't really do that, but what they can do is they can go after people who are operating illegally. So that's a good thing. And why would South Korea want to get rid of it when the major bank's income from cryptocurrency is up 36 times from 2016? It's a lot of money flowing here. So, it's not even in their own interest to do that. But it is in their interest to regulate things and, taxing things. As we see here, a report from India, they're going to be sending out tax notices to traders. So that's where things will ultimately go, is that the government's going to get their cut. The days of this being an underground, small community and profits and being unregulated, that's going away for sure in time. So it is what it is. It's just part of the game, but we can kind of start to not be so afraid of these governments just shutting them down. Unless you're in some areas like China here, and they're kind of further tightening down on things and really trying to make it difficult for anybody involved with cryptocurrency. So now that they've closed down, the exchanges there, they're kind of going after anybody who's dealing with cryptocurrency at all. People that are doing like over-the-counter trading with it. So that's fine to an extent, but all that's really going to lead to, more than likely, is that you're going to get more of these situations where, OK Coin now, who used to operate in China, was shut down. They're looking at going to South Korea. So stop it all that you want, or try all that you want. It will find a way out. Like the Jurassic Park quote, life finds a way. So that's probably what we're dealing with here in the long term. You can see here basically OK Coin Korea website's pretty much ready. They're accepting pre-orders, and they plan to have more than 60 digital currencies trading against the Korean won. So, that gives more credence to the fact that South Korea is not just banning things. There's companies setting up new shop there. And how things will happen when countries do try to just ban this stuff. That's not the only place to go. So you kind of get with it or get lost. So that's what's happening to China. It seems like they're getting lost in it, and that's fine for them and the government's there. I'm sure over time there's going to be some changes that go on with that. And, it should be more of a thing of regulation. And that's kind of what we see here in this news story. former FDIC chair says we don't ban assets, we just need to regulate them. So regulation and tax, it's just going to be what happens more than likely. But banning this technology is, I think, nearly impossible at this point. It has a function. I was having a discussion with someone just the other day, and they says it's not worth anything, and a lot of things aren't worth anything in essence, unless we decide them to. Diamonds, for that matter, are an extremely inflated asset only because it's controlled by certain people. So while ones and zeros in the computer don't really have a true value, but if we all agree to it, then it does. If we all agree to someone being a president, then they are. So actual value and intrinsic value, it could be argued, but there's a function to this, and again, for countries to just ban it is, I think, somewhat unlikely. So another interesting thing here, I think, which is a result of more intelligent investors being involved, which is going to make these gains in cryptocurrency probably more difficult to obtain. The stories that we're all familiar with at this point, people becoming millionaires by holding for the last few years, it may become less likely to do that. We've got more intelligent investors involved. So as a result here, we've seen a lot of gold being bought up in the recent pullback, and I think that has to do with Wall Street being involved and other hedge funds and things like that in the space. So when this asset comes down, gold's going up, and that may be a relationship that we see kind of happen more and develop more, similar to what the stock market does. The stocks seem to have an inverse correlation to gold at times. So that's interesting that basically Bitcoin is really kind of arriving on the platform, the world kind of stage, so to speak. So it's definitely having an effect and becoming a big thing. There's no question about it. Looking on here, we see this news article talking about, from CoinDesk here, talking about Bitcoin stuck at 12K from the recent, dip. So Bitcoin had a big dip, put a video out about that, some levels to be watched, and essentially those levels that I was watching have held up very well so far. And I will agree somewhat with this article saying that the price definitely rebounded, but it's it seems to be selling out right now, last day or two. So be it what that is. I don't know how much I agree with the fact that it needs to do its progress quick. We'll see. They have their technical readout down here. I haven't really gone into that too much. I have my own personal kind of spin on it, so we're going to look at that here in just a second. But I'll put all the links to all these articles here below if you want to read through this and get what they're saying. But I agree with that. It seems to be kind of cooling off already on its bounce and to be watched. But I don't necessarily agree with the fact that it's going to lose if it doesn't make a move here quickly. So I'll get an explanation here in a little bit. Last thing here in the news stories is BitConnect not getting much sympathy, and they probably shouldn't. So these people invested in it. They got involved with this platform. They were expecting to be billionaires over the next 2 years, 3 years, whatever. I myself wanted to get in some of it, but it was just more of a speculative investment. I never did, but I'd say the people that did put vast amounts of money in, it was just a big mistake when you knew better. And there's talks about going after some of the influencers, which I don't know if they can or can't, but I don't know how much you can blame these people. And they kind of told you this could go away anytime. I don't really get into the debate on whether they're right or wrong or not, but you as the individual had enough information out there, I think, to be wary of it and to expect to lose everything quite possible. But at the same time, their token has actually done some really it's crashed considerably. It went down to $5 from about $400. But from $5, it rose back up to about $80, $90 and is now seeing about $20, $30. So, who knows what's going to happen with this? Maybe BitConnect continues to go on the way they say they are and offer other services. Again, I don't really think that it's a reliable, reputable, group, organization, but for those that got involved with it, you know what you're involved with, and now hold on and deal with it and don't expect any sympathy, clearly, as we see here. So going into the charts here now. So on the last video that I set up, the main thing that I was kind of, really pushing was this average line here. This is a 30-period moving average looking at a weekly chart. And when I first did that video, I think we hadn't quite got down to it. We were around 10,000, I think, and then we had our second flush on that following day. And it went down to 9,000 roughly. So it really hit that level really dead on. And that was kind of what I was saying is watch that level. If it holds that level, it should be positive. And that's just based upon what happened back here and here and here, This dip right now is looking a lot like what happened with the China thing. We had a quick drop and a quick rebound. And it put a nice tail in there, really long tail. And we're kind of building the same candle, it looks like right now. So do I think it's going to play out exactly the same? I don't know. No one knows. And that's why I disagree with that other article talking about it needs to make progress quick. Initially, what my thought was is that it's going to probably consolidate in this area a little bit. What I think is different between this current dip and the ones that we previously have experienced is on all these dips here, Bitcoin was still not mainstream news. Obviously, it was more, known than it was back in here and further back, but it still wasn't on NBC and everybody and their mother talking about it. So that's where we are now. Everybody and their mother's talking about this. We had our holidays, everyone, Bitcoin, 20,000, huge, huge, huge. We have a lot of downward pressure here. We have a lot of people that bought in the top. We have a lot of events going on. The fall of BitConnect, kind of, again, tainting the overall community, so to speak. Is this Ponzi's or these pyramid schemes? So, there's a lot going on that I think is going to hinder its quick, skyrocketing. But if this level does hold and it doesn't violate that and get a real, strong close below this average line, then it may, be prepared to start another run once the fear kind of subsides. So I think there's a lot of still kind of not so much FUD, but there's just uncertainty right now, and for good reasons. So that's my take, and there's also the whole contrarian mindset that I discussed in the last video, that everybody's really cheerleading on 2018 to be the great year of Bitcoin, and 2017 was clearly a great year. No one was really cheering it on. It came out of nowhere, and that tends to be what happens, I think. So for the mainstream, and when you're still hearing people say buy, 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 that's generally when you see the sell, sell, sell. So that's my concern. Where I agree with that article that it's stalled at the 12K, definitely looks like that. Here's our weekly chart. If we look at it on a daily one real quick, you can see it's got some long wicks going on here, and it's just kind of it's consolidating. It's figuring out its direction, and to revisit the lows is not unreasonable. I haven't really done much buying because I still think I'll have a better, more reliable entry here in the next few days. If I miss it, I miss it. Not a big deal. It's proven itself, and that would give me more confidence down the road here on a longer time frame. Again, looking at the weekly chart to not necessarily make those quick moves, but trying to get that long, big run, or even from this dip and up, these nice gains. So if Bitcoin's head into 40,000 this year, then we got a lot of room, and just, we got time to kind of make a plan. So applying this weekly chart and this average here, I'm going to take another look here at some other coins really quickly, just kind of show you how everything's really respecting that so far and what to, be alert of. So Litecoin right away hit it perfectly. Beautiful setup. Definitely wish we would have grabbed some here, if you had the chance to. Got a nice bounce, but again, I think we may be seeing just a general down market still to figure this all out, but it could skyrocket from here. Ethereum pulled back further, but didn't really get that close, so just showing overall strength, which is something else that I kind of referred to in the last video. Other coins like Ripple, they really got to that level, great buying area, and just has rebounded very nicely since. Monero here, again, similar thing. So we can see this pretty much in any coin. And, all these coins really have that past history where they touched on that line and had nice runs afterwards. So we just may be seeing this all play out again. But again, I will kind of say I think the landscape's a little different than it was here. This was, people just weren't as aware. So, the market caps were a lot smaller back here. We're now talking about back in this time, the market cap, overall market cap was 130 million, I think. We're now we're losing 130 million and gaining 130 million. We're losing and gaining an entire market cap's worth at that time in a day now. So it's a different atmosphere for sure, and to expect the exact same moves I think is a little bit unrealistic. It could happen, but we just have to consider some other factors right now and be prepared for anything. A couple other coins here we can take a quick look at. Vertcoin I think is it's still in that, it's perfect right now. It's in that spot. It's sitting right there. If you want to make a purchase, this one looks to be nice for that buy, and hoping that it has that further rebound. It hasn't really recovered past that average completely yet. It dipped way below it, but right now it's sitting at that sweet spot. Some other ones here, again, not such big coins, but I think interesting setups is Bay. This really tapped on that level and has rebounded nicely. Steam, which is one that I'm really interested in just due to some of the community out there being interested in it right now. So it's kind of got, I don't want to say, pumping going on, but it's getting a lot of, promotion. And it did that perfect, dip down to that average area on that weekly chart. So a lot of evidence here showing strength, but again, if Bitcoin does, decide to kind of pull back, I think it will pull these altcoins in. Right now, it seems like everybody is moving together. There's not the divergence in altcoins to Bitcoin and vice versa, so to speak, right now. So keeping an eye on that. And I think that's actually a negative sign too, that everything is moving in, correlation to each other. So there's no confidence in one sector or the other right now. It's just generally, what's going on with cryptocurrency. One coin that's done okay over the last couple of days here is Po. This is something that I think I may have mentioned in my last video, talking about maybe doing a dedicated video on this coin here because I like what the project's doing, and I think it's showing that. It's showing its strength right now. We don't have that average here because it's a newer coin, but it's performing really well. Up earlier today about 30%. Right now it's pulled back a little bit, but this pattern here is really kind of shaped up nice, and it does seem to be kind of going against the grain a little bit in comparison to some of the other coins I'm watching. To an extent, it definitely had to pull back and move up, but it seems today to not be having such a stagnant feel. It actually started going up overnight, so I like a lot what Po is doing. Another plug here for Po. Not affiliated with them or anything like that. I just really believe in that concept that they're promoting. I think it's a unique one and a needed one. So let me know what you guys think about this. Please remember, nothing of what I said is financial advice. I'm not an advisor. I'm not an expert. These are my interpretations of what I see of data, and I encourage you to do your own research, to challenge things that I've said. Tell me where I'm right. Tell me where I'm wrong. Give me your thumbs up. Give me your thumbs down. Comment, like, subscribe, share. Turn on notifications, help build the channel. We love the support. Anything we can do to make you guys happier, let us know. Give us any kind of feedback, whether it's positive or negative, and we hope to see you in our next video. Take care.